Have you ever heard of this really interesting notion of good debt versus bad debt? What is this exactly, and how does this pertain to a mortgage versus a credit card debt? Let's take a closer look. My name is Finney, and my passion is helping you make sense of real estate. If you need help finding a top agent near you, or if you simply want to drop me a line and say hello, my contact info is below. If you're new here, please go ahead and subscribe to this channel now and like this video. Thank you. All right, my friend, let's take a closer look at this. Perhaps what we need to do is explore the different types of debt, because a FICO score model or a Vantage scoring model for your purpose of your credit score will be examining each type of debt much differently. So when you're thinking about a mortgage versus a credit card debt, they're definitely not equal. From a financial perspective, when we're considering the types of debt, some debts are going to be considered as a good debt because it has the possibility of return in the future. Such a thing as a mortgage. Well, we know that historically real estate will go up with time, and we know that it's secured by this hard asset called your home. Another type of debt would be like a car loan. The car loan is secured by the car, while a credit card debt would often be referred to as like a bad debt because there's nothing that's securing that debt. It's just money that you're borrowing for a very high interest rate in many cases. All the same, there is nothing to back up the financial loss if for some reason you don't pay. So in short, we have good debt versus bad debt. And when we're talking about good debt, financial advisors generally are going to define this as the type of debt that has the potential to increase your net worth with time. While a bad debt would probably be best defined as any kind of debt that takes away from your overall net worth and will not be adding value to you. Perhaps it's best to consider debt in two distinct categories. One category being a revolving balance, and the second category being installment loans. When we're considering the revolving balance, think of like your credit card. With your credit card, the higher that balance becomes, we know this isn't a good thing, especially as we approach the upper number for where we're approved that be able to borrow from. Let's say that number was like $10,000, and if you had $5,000 on that card, then you would have a 50% of what's called a credit card utilization rate. The higher that utilization rate, the more likely it is to drop your credit score. In fact, as much as 30% of your overall credit score can be calculated from the different types of debt you carry, watching with a very watchful eye on your revolving balance and your credit card utilization rate. It's generally widely accepted that the best practice, if at all possible, is to perhaps maintain a credit card utilization rate between 10 and 25%. Doing so will keep your credit growing over time and keep your balances low enough that your score will take a boost, and you'll also experience the pleasure of having that money in a fallback should you legitimately need to borrow against that credit card. Going out and spending on that pair of Louis Vuitton shoes isn't the best idea here. Use your credit card smartly and be wise with your revolving debt. The reason this takes such a big bite out of you, it has been proven that consumers with a higher credit card revolving utilization ratio are also at an increased and elevated risk of default. So if a lender or if anybody out there that you're thinking about applying for credit from sees that, they're less likely to take you on because they're identifying you as an elevated risk to do work and to give you a loan for it. So you want to be honest with yourself about this, and it's why it's so important to make sure that you use your credit cards for a specific purpose and not going out shopping with them if you don't have to. You don't want to be in a position where you're living life off of a credit card, because you will never get that debt monkey off your back once you go down that rabbit hole. Short of bankruptcy. Take it from me. Been there, done that. Would like to see you not have to experience that. So let's think about the second type of debt, which is installment loans. So when we're talking about installment loans, what could fall underneath this category? Think of things like a mortgage, a car note, a personal loan, a student loan. What makes these installment loans tick? And why are credit reporting companies so forgiving and a little bit more generous in helping your credit score increase by on-time consistent payments of installment loan debt? Well, it's because it's considered to be a good debt. And the reason it's considered to be a good debt is it has a high potential of increasing the return and you over time. Consider that a mortgage, right? We know that the historic average of real estate appreciation in the United States over the last 100 years is typically about 3% annually. We know that if you're investing into your education, most of us do this to get a better and higher paying job. If you're taking out a personal loan, perhaps you took out a personal loan to start your own business. Again, that potential is there that it could have a higher rate of return. So when we're thinking about that, in line with the car note, why does that work? Because the actual car that you purchased is securing that loan. If you were the default, they could go back and collect. Again, the potential of return coming back. Whereas underneath the revolving debt, that bad debt is stuff that there cannot be collateralized. It was essentially just thrown at you with no security going behind it other than your promise to repay. Okay, so now that you know more about good debt versus bad debt, I hope this will help you make a smart decision for you. So let's take a closer look at 6 budgeting tips for new homeowners and how to recover from a financial setback. Looking forward to our next conversation. We'll see you in a few.